Have you ever just stared at a blank page and thought, where do I even start? We often think of creative writing as this magical, almost unattainable skill, but what if I told you it's actually a craft that anyone can learn? In this explainer, we're going to pull back the curtain on the whole process. We're breaking down how you, yes you, can go from an empty screen to a real creative force.
So, let's start with the big one, the age-old question, right? Are great writers just born that way, blessed with some kind of divine gift, or is it something you can build through practice and just sheer effort? That's the core idea we're going to dig into, and trust me, the answer might surprise you. Okay, before we even get to writing, we have to talk about creativity itself. It's a word that gets thrown around so much it can feel a little intimidating, So let's actually break it down into something we can understand and, more importantly, something we can actually use. Now notice the most important word here, process. Creativity isn't some lightning strike of genius that happens out of nowhere. No, it's a mental activity. It's about generating new ideas or, and this is super important, making new connections between ideas that are already out there. And for something to be really creative, it's got to have two things: originality, so it's fresh and new, and appropriateness, meaning it actually fits the context. It makes sense. So how does this whole process actually work? Well, it's fueled by a specific kind of thinking. Convergent thinking, that's your logical brain. It's all about finding that one single correct answer to a problem. But creative thought, that's powered by divergent thinking. That's about exploring tons of possible solutions. Think about a paperclip, okay? Convergent thinking asks, what is this for? The answer, holding paper together. Simple. Divergent thinking asks, how many things could you do with a paperclip? Whoa. Now you're resetting your router, picking a lock, making a tiny sculpture. That is your creative muscle at work.
And that brings us to our next big idea. We're going to tackle one of the biggest myths in the writing world, this whole idea of the divinely inspired genius versus the reality of just good old-fashioned hard work.
Back in the 19th century, this was the popular image of a poet, someone touched by the gods, almost possessed by this mystical force. Their genius was something to be in awe of, maybe even a little afraid of. It's a super romantic idea, for sure, but it's not the whole story, not even close.
And here it is, the modern reality check. As the great inventor Thomas Edison famously put it, creativity is mostly just plain hard work. That flash of inspiration, it's real, yeah, but it's just the starting pistol. The actual race is won through effort, through discipline, and through the grind of showing up and doing the work, day in and day out. And this really gets to the heart of it. Writing isn't some abstract art form happening way up in the clouds. It's a hands-on craft. Like carpentry or pottery? You learn how to use the tools, you practice the techniques over and over, and you build something, piece by piece, with dedication and perseverance. Okay, so if writing is a craft that requires all this hard work, what's the single most important habit you need to build? In this next section, we're going to reveal the writer's honest-to-goodness secret weapon. Seriously, think about it for a second. What do you think it is? Is it having a huge vocabulary, a perfect grasp of grammar, maybe having all these crazy life experiences to draw from? Nope. It's actually something much, much more fundamental. That's it, reading. If there is one thing that pretty much every writer on the planet agrees on, it's this: you absolutely have to read. You can't be a good writer if you aren't a voracious reader. It's how you learn the game, it's how you study the best players, and it's how you understand the craft from the inside out. But here's the key. You have to read actively, not passively. You got to read like a writer. When a phrase or a line of dialogue just jumps off the page at you, write it down. When a newspaper article sparks an idea, clip it out, save it. Carry a notebook with you everywhere because you never, ever know when an idea is going to strike. This is how you build your arsenal. This is how you gather your ammunition.
All right, now for the really fun part. We know writing is a craft, and every craft has its tools. In this final section, we're going to look at some of the most powerful tools a writer has in their toolkit for turning ordinary language into pure art. And hey, don't let the fancy terms intimidate you. Seriously. Just think of these as the different brushes and colors a painter uses. They're just specific techniques that let you create these incredibly vivid images, stir up powerful emotions, and make your writing totally memorable and impactful.
First up, the powerhouse, the metaphor. This is where you say one thing is another thing. It's not just a comparison, it's a total fusion. And when you do that, you transfer all the feelings, all the ideas, all the associations from one thing onto the other, and you create this rich, brand new meaning.
Just look at how Sylvia Plath uses a whole string of metaphors here to describe pregnancy. She doesn't just say she feels large. She becomes an elephant, a ponderous house. She paints a picture that is so much more vivid and emotionally complicated than any simple description could ever be. That right there is the power of a metaphor.
Now, a simile is a metaphor's close cousin. The key difference, and it's a big one, is that a simile makes the comparison totally explicit. It uses the magic words like or as. It says one thing is like another thing, creating this really clear and direct link right in the reader's mind.
I mean, feel the raw power of the simile in this example. Langston Hughes isn't just asking a question, he's forcing you to see and feel the possibilities. A dream deferred doesn't just get forgotten, it dries up like a raisin, it festers like a sore. These images, they're visceral, they're completely unforgettable.
So, there you have it. We've demystified the process. We've seen that creativity isn't magic, it's a skill you can build. We know that writing is a craft powered by hard work, and that reading is its absolute essential fuel. You have the tools now. You know how to paint with words. That blank page, it's not an obstacle anymore. It's an invitation. So the only question